snapshot of what students get as the most important words out of it. And you're going to be able to tell, is this article too hard, is it too easy, whatever. But as a group, once they're finished, you're going to look up here and you're going to kind of have a conversation and say, okay, what do we as a class come up with the 10 most important words out of this article? And traditionally, what are the kids going to choose? The ones with the most on the bar graph. Are those always going to be the best answer? They might not be. So once again, now you're doing vocabulary and you're going to be having a conversation with your students about whether these are the 10 most important words. And you're going to have to ask them to prove it. What do they have to rely on to prove it? In order to prove that their word is important, they have to know what it means, and they have to be able to use context, and they have to be able to go back into the text. This is a, oh my gosh, high yield activity. We're not going to have time to do it, but I'll pass these out if you would like me to. And this also works with math. I've seen lots of math. Have you ever done a Frere model? Okay. After you finish as a class discussing the 10 most important words out of that reading, and you come to a consensus, then you have students who you say, okay, meet with your 5 o'clock partner. You're going to do a Frere model on one of those words. So then you'll make sure that everybody has one of the words, and you're going to be able to take the 10 most important words and do an in-depth study on them. And by the end of the class, you will have done an in-depth study on the 10 most important words of that reading. Love this activity. So much bang for your buck. Okay? Do we pass these out so you have one?
Yes.
Okay. Once again, go to Google, Frere models. Apple ones. I keep laughing. Every time I get ready to say something, I'll look back at the camera and start laughing myself. Once again, remember, Frere models, you can change these. If you don't want to say examples and non-examples, you can say synonyms, antonyms, you can do all kinds of things. Okay. I'm trying to figure out what I want. Really focus. Okay. Have you ever heard of Genius Hour? No. No? Yes? No's? Okay. Okay. Let's watch a video on something called Genius Hour. Now, this is going to be the way high side of student choice. This is where you get into like big time student choice, okay? So remember that. I'm not saying this is something that you have to do. You might decide to do it in school. You might decide to do it as a department. You might decide to do it as a classroom. But this is like something that you shoot for down the road, or you may want to go gangbusters to start with. So let's take a look at this video. Let's see here. This would be start that again once I get it big so you can see here. Okay, this is going to kind of give you, as if you were the student, a way to look at what Genius Hour is. Can you see it, or do we need the lights? Is that okay? because we're limited on time. Okay, that's kind of an introduction.
Creative using how to.
Oh, holy shnikes. Okay, now let me show you very quickly. Holy shnikes is a word, isn't it?
There's a movement happening right now.
Mommy, I think my students are going to be
Okay. Then, all right. I don't want to show it anyway. Real quick, I want to show you this. Okay, I'm just kidding. I don't want to show you. Is it walk? Is that what it is? Okay. All right. Basically, what I was going to show you, and you can go on YouTube and see these. It's schools that have done Genius Hour projects, and they kind of show it to you in action. So you could go into a video and see math. You can see whatever you want, and just go in and kind of look at some videos and actually see into the classrooms how they've done it, and the kids can even talk to you about the projects. It is a pretty incredible idea, something that you could do on almost any level, long, short, You can do one a year, one in the 4 years that they're here, make it part of their portfolio. But it is an amazing thing because it's something that students really have to delve into, and it's just choice and motivation galore. All right. Real quick. There we go. All right. Genius Hour planning sheets. Those are very, very important. These are also found on the internet all over the place, and it's something that kind of guides the students. Here's one of the more elementary version or more of a smaller version, but I love the fact that they have to ask 3 questions. They come up with the questions that drive it. They come up with where they're going to find the information. Did you make a copy of that KW for? Okay. Can we give those out to them? How many have used a KWL chart before? Okay, what I'm giving you now is a KWL all hopped up on something, caffeine, okay? Basically, this now, the KWL chart takes it to a new level. You know, you have what I want to know, what I know, what I want to know. The next one is going to be how am I going to find it? So it actually has them reviewing sources and figuring out how they're going to do it. Also, one of the letters now in there, it is KWHLAQ. The A is how am I going to apply it? Now that I've learned it, what am I going to do with it? So it takes the KWL chart to the next level, but it's also great for planning something like this. Genius Hour is student-centered. It's going to be messy. It's going to be one of those things that if you're a control freak teacher, it's going to make you insane. But it's a big bang for the buck. But what it's not is it's not necessarily standards-based. This is not something that you're going to be using to teach standards, but to teach skill-based things and to get students really motivated and to be intrinsically motivated about what they're doing. Let's see. All right. A couple things. I'll send this PowerPoint to you if you want to give it to them because there's a couple other things in there. And there is another activity called vocabulary word sort that's awesome for being able to do this. Finally, let's do our last activity. It should make you really happy, the last activity. When you do choice, this is one of the most important parts. Remember we talked about the first 2 things. Once again, first 2 things is that the students need to know that the choice they're making truly impacts their learning, and that cannot be lip service. The final thing that you must remember with student choice is that you have to give students a chance to reflect on what they've done and if they've made the right choice. Because sometimes we go into something, we make choices, and we stand back and think, oh, I should have done it another way. Students only learn that by having practice at that. So when you give them a chance, okay, you had a learning menu and you chose to show me in a video, was that a good idea? Should you have done that? Would you do it again? If you had to change it, how would you do it? Very important. So we're going to reflect on our today's activity today, okay? By doing a moment of process. The things that you must remember is that it must be a group of 3. It must be a group of 3. When there's think time, everyone must be silent. There's no talking during think time. Very hard for people like me. When it's speaking time, only the person who is speaking. I have a tendency to want to affirm people who are talking, and I have to remember to be quiet. If the speaker finishes before the time is up, everyone remains quiet. So if you have a minute to speak and you use 43 seconds and you're done, just be done. Just stand there. It's people comfortable in that time. So for round 1, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to bunch up in groups of 3. And you have to stand up to do this. If we have people who we don't have enough for everyone, we'll figure that out. So everybody get into it. You can normally just have people count off as 1, 2, 3. But let's just group up in 3s. Remember, we're in the home stretch. We're rounding the 3rd. Okay. You're going with mommy? Okay. Wow, we have 3s? Okay. Kind of. Okay. In that group, I want you to decide who is A, who is B, and who is C. I want you to choose who's A, who's B, who's C.
A for Andy.
I'll be sick.
All right.
A's, raise your hand.
Hey,
They need a, okay, A's, raise your hand. B's, raise your hand.
Oh, I know what this is going to
C's, raise your hand. Awesome, okay. Now, you will be A all 3 rounds. You will be B all 3 rounds. Whatever letter you have is the letter you stick with, okay? So, for the first round, letter A, you're going to have 1 minute, it says think, but it's supposed to be think. 1 minute to think, and then you'll have 1 minute to answer a question. B, you're going to have 30 seconds to think, and 30 seconds to expand on what A says. And letter C, you're going to have 30 seconds to think, and you're going to have 30 seconds to summarize what both said. Okay? So, remember, whatever time you have, that it's only your time. So the first question is, letter A, I want you to have 1 minute to think about explaining what student choice is. So let's just think for 1 minute. Quiet think. Long 1 minute, isn't it? When you have to think. Isn't it amazing? Okay, so letter A, 1 minute to explain to your group what student choice truly is. Begin.
What keeps them interested. I think you have to be careful. Practice opportunities. If you don't put practice opportunities, you'll always practice. You'll lose it, not come back to it, and not give them the opportunity to work with the strategy.
Okay, time. Now, once again, if you finished answering it and you felt that you were complete, you don't have to fill in the minute. If you want to stop and you're done, then just leave. This is an activity that has to get people comfortable in listening, just standing and being okay in silence. I'm not one of those people. This is very difficult for me. I like to fill space. Okay, so now we have 30 seconds on the clock for letter B. You have 30 seconds to think. So everybody, shh. 30 seconds to think. How can you expand on what your colleague just said? 30 seconds. Time. Letter B, 30 seconds to expand upon what your colleague said. You may begin.
You can't put student choice in your office. You can't put your students in box. Put zero in a box. But you don't put your students in a box. I should give them opportunity.
Here I am trying.
Grow.
Are you listening?
To begin to
I am, I'm trying, and he's mocking my.
No, it's a good job.
No, I'm being serious. You should give them opportunities to grow, to be independent.
Oh darn,
Is that 30
time's
seconds?
up.
Who's gonna interrupt?
I know it is, I know it is. All right, letter C. You have 30 seconds to think about what your two people
Summarize
said.
that.
So, listen, this is great because now your B and C have a reason to listen. In order to be able to do their job, they have to be able to listen. Now they're also being able to synthesize. They have to take what two people said and synthesize it in one summary. This is a huge, huge skills builder. All right, 30 seconds, C. Just think. Yeah. Okay, C, summarize. Begin.
So you gave us the higher score. But as teachers, we don't do it because it makes us
He said box.
And time. Thank you so much. You want to help? We want to help. Okay, so now there are actually two more rounds, but we're not going to do them because we're running out of time. So let me show you what the next round would be. The next round is when jobs change. So now B would have to answer, C would have to expand, and A would have to summarize. So this is going to be able to help those kids who always want to talk, and the kids who they're like, I'm A, and the kid who C is like, I'm out. I'm out. So they have to do it. So by the time you finish it, then you give them another question. What was one strategy today that you think you will incorporate in your classroom? Why? Since we're not going to talk about that, can anyone shout out? Is there a strategy that you saw today that you know that you would like to try to use in your classroom?
tic-tac-toe.
Tic-tac-toe. The menu. Yeah?
KWL
Oh, there you go. I'm so impressed that you remember the letters. You got it. I know. So then round 3, then you're going to have C, etc., etc. This is a fantastic activity to have your students to reflect and review things at the end of the day too. Okay, we are done for the day. This is my information on how you find me. My email is edconsulting. My Pinterest is dcollin98. There's actually a Pinterest board on there that is just student choice. I have Pinterest boards on there that have high school. I know I'm done. I'm fried. I'm done. But I have lots of strategies there, a compilation of things. My Facebook and Facebook group, I put some things on there. I also have a book. It's an ebook on top 20 strategies, and back there I have one in hard copy. And I'm getting ready to publish one that is on CTE strategies. So I really, really appreciate your time. This has been a lot of fun. I hope that you learned something out of it today, and I hope that I get to see you soon. Thank you, everyone.
You'll see us in PLCs in November.
I'll see you in PLC in November.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan.
Oh, it's good to see you. Thank you.
All right, I can go try that strawberry.
Oh, I know you did. Bless your heart.
All right, you did.
Oh,